gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I'm your host, Ken McClinton. So glad to have you here. I am so excited to have Curtis Ellis back on the program with us for such a time as this. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to tell you that this is the YouTube record period. This you will find later on our YouTube two channels, TECN and also the Exceptional Conservative Show. You'll find that early in tomorrow morning. We will have that available to you because I want you to share this news and information with the world. Ladies and gentlemen, there are those who actually believe without a shadow of a doubt that we were in a period of paradise, at least economically. And in that period of paradise, there was a creation of millions of jobs, people going to work, the economy flowing, small businesses growing. But that didn't happen, ladies and gentlemen, simply because, someone waved a wand and made Obama Marxist king. That happened because we did some things. And tonight I wanted to present to the world one of the guys who was most responsible for changing how we went along in our economy. Curtis Ellis, he's the executive director of American Jobs Alliance. He's also executive director of Get Out of China. So I want to talk with you tonight about some mythology first. And that's the mythology of the Obama administration. That somehow Obama created more jobs, we were more prosperous, we were better off economically. I want you to speak. Can you contest to that?
Yeah, unfortunately, people have so little memory, and amnesia is the other pandemic that we're experiencing right now. How quickly they forget that we had very slow growth, no growth during the Obama years, and we had a president and administration that was committed to globalism, 100%, 100 proof pure globalism. He was trying to push through these free trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership that would have shipped more jobs, enriched Vietnam, enriched Malaysia, shipped more jobs overseas, and raised the standard of living in countries over there, even as it further sapped the strength from our own country. Plus, there was a very high degree of regulation. He was committed to this idea of a cap and trade on carbon tax. The goal of the Paris Climate Accord was to basically transfer wealth from the United States and Western Europe to the developing countries. We would be under stringent requirements to reduce the use of energy in America, whereas China, India, other countries, which are the greatest emitters of greenhouse gas, would get a pass, and they'd be able to develop their economy unfettered. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what would happen. The few remaining industries in America would move to these places like China and India, where they didn't face any regulation. So that's the record of the Obama administration. He basically was going down the path that was followed by Republican and Democrats before him in the White House, which was the globalization of the economy, the deindustrialization of America, and basically turning America into a third world economy where we would be exporting raw materials, agricultural goods, maybe oil or gas. But at the time, during the Obama administration, he still believed in gas and oil extraction, though, of course, since then that's been scrubbed and shoved down the memory hole. We're now all against fossil fuels because of the Green New Deal.
Exactly.
So what President Trump did, and I was on the campaign, and even before that, when I was talking with you in years past, we were fighting against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We wanted an economy that worked for Americans, for national development, rather than this idea of global development. We had we have the very, and President, when I say we, I mean you and me and President Trump and other like-minded people like that. We have this very odd idea that the government in Washington should be working for the American people, not for the global economy, not for
Exactly.
what's good for the world. You can never do it. Trying to do what's good for the world is like trying to eat a prime rib roast in one bite. You
There
just
you
can't
go.
do it. You got to take
Can't
care
do
of a
it.
little bit of it at a time, you know?
Exactly.
so,
Curtis.
so President Trump
Mhm.
embarked on this had a definite plan: tax reform, trade reform, regulatory reform, energy reform. Let's get the taxes in line with the rest of the world. Let's get our regulations off the back, get rid of unneeded regulations so we can streamline the permitting process for projects and it doesn't get tied up in court for 20 years. Trade reform, so we're not giving everything away to China and other countries in the name of we're going to lift up these poor people on the other side of the world out of poverty by giving them our jobs. And
Exactly.
energy reform is we've got more energy here than just about anywhere else on earth. So let's get it and use it and give our own industries an advantage. And it
Exactly.
worked. We had a tremendous economy until this little bug came along.
Until the left decided that we just need to shut this thing down. I don't think
That's
that
right.
any person of well-known scholarship would recommend shutting down the world because of a virus, especially when a virus takes the same road as the flu per se. It may not necessarily be as uh, small empathy as the flu, but necessarily it comes out to the same numbers. And we're finding that more and more Americans actually have been infected and didn't suffer. So we've shut down the economy, and 30 million jobs have been lost. There's an estimated 30 million. The St. Louis Fed Reserve says that there'll be 47 million jobs lost by the time we all get back to work again, if we ever get back to work. And those on the left won't do one thing in terms of blaming China. They refuse to blame China. They always blame Donald Trump for the closing of the economy. Can you speak to that, sir?
Well, I'll tell you what. If Donald Trump cured old age, they'd accuse him of destroying the nursing home industry. It's they can't admit this guy did anything right, and it's now it's become dangerous. It has become dangerous because it's very clear that China is responsible for this pandemic, is responsible for this. They unleashed this on the world, but they can't come to admit that. If Donald Trump is saying China is responsible, their pathology of the left is so entrenched that they have to say, "Oh well, he's just trying to distract from the fact that it's his fault. That he should have done X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C." While Nancy Pelosi was telling people to go dance in the streets of Chinatown, Donald Trump should have had psychic powers and shut down the economy when there was one death in America before anybody even knew there were cases here. See, the reality is, as you said, a lot more people have this than we know.
Mm-hmm.
It's now coming out that there were people were infected in January, in
Yeah.
early January, and this is what we do know as well. When the Chinese came over here to sign that phase one trade deal on January 15th, they knew there was a huge pandemic raging in their country. They knew that it was being transmitted from person to person, yet they didn't tell anybody. And they came over here, they sent a huge delegation over here. I'll bet, hoping to, I wouldn't be surprised, I shouldn't say this, but
Thank you.
they came over here at least oblivious to the fact that they could be infecting half of Washington and the ruling class of the ruling elite of the highest levels of the administration. They didn't bother telling anybody that that was the case. So, but the left will never accept that because they're so deranged over their hatred of President Trump. Look, I want to get this plug in here, and I got to do it. And
Yes.
now seems like a good time about we and now President Trump is saying he wants to hold China responsible for this, and they will pay. Germany has presented a bill for $160 billion. You have other countries getting ready to sue. You have state legislators talking about suing China. You have Senator Josh Hawley with bills in Congress. remove sovereign immunity so every American could sue China. Well, what I'm saying is on top of all that, let's remember this. Every dollar, if China were to somehow get in their head that they're going to pay these judgments, they're going to make good and pay the damages, every dollar they pay us would be a dollar we gave them in the first place.
Yeah.
Because they don't print dollars in Beijing. They only get their dollars when we send them over there. So what I'm saying and what we're saying at the American Jobs Alliance is boycott China. Get out of China. Boycott China. Get out of China.us is the website. You can go there and you can get these stickers and order them and put them on your car, give them to your family, give them to your friends. We have to get the word out. The American people understand this. They've understood it for years, that China is sucking the life out of this country. I say the Chinese Communist Party is a cancerous tumor, and we have to cut off the blood supply to that tumor. And the way we do it is by cutting off the money supply. Our government is sending millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to China, actually billions, over the years through grants and aids, through the World Bank, through things like the World Health Organization. I was just looking at this congressional research report today. Unbelievable. The number of grants, research grants, scientific collaboration we're doing with China, where we're giving them tens of millions of dollars to help them develop their science and technology. Yes. We have Wall Street right now, Wall Street, the same Wall Street financiers who are all on board with the leftist social justice causes of name your pronoun and diversity training, and don't let gun stores get credit card clearance, and whatever the left comes up with, they say, yes, we're on board with that. That's a great idea. These same people are shipping billions of dollars to China. They're allowing Chinese companies that are fraudsters, that are crooked, that have no accounting transparency whatsoever, be listed on American stock exchanges. And they're pushing the federal government to invest the federal retirement savings, the retirement savings of federal employees and military, active duty military men and women, to invest the retirement savings of these people in Chinese weapons manufacturers, yes. Companies that are building weapons aimed at the United States, companies that are building the surveillance equipment that's enslaving the Chinese people, keeping an eye on the 2 million Chinese people that are in concentration camps right now. Why would anyone, especially the federal government, put American taxpayer dollars in companies like that? I mean, exactly. That's insane. And that's the same insanity that rules the left.
2 questions for you, Curtis. First question: should Donald Trump seize all Chinese assets in the U.S. officially as of Friday of this week?
That is a very good, I'm glad you brought that up. See, that's something that could be done. The Chinese Communist Party officials, their family, their sons and daughters, their cousins, and their companies, because there's no such thing as a private company in China. Chinese companies own a lot of real estate and a lot of assets in this country. They should be seized. They could be seized. With the stroke of a pen, we could knock all of these Chinese companies off of the American exchanges and deregister them so they're not allowed to sell securities, bonds, anything, raise money in the American capital markets. That would tank the Communist Party overnight.
It would flush them out.
We could flush them out and say, give us the reagents we need. Give us the equipment that you're not sending us, because right now China has put export controls on medical equipment. You can't export that out of China. So there's some stuff they have that we need through our own stupidity, through the the avarice, the greed of the Wall Street types over the last 20 years. We don't make this stuff in America anymore. And now the virus has exposed that, how dependent, how incredibly dependent we've become on China. And that's not a good place to be in.
Not a good
And
place
we've
at
got to
all.
get out of that place. That's going to take a little time. In the meantime, they have some stuff we need. So
Sign away,
look,
Donald Trump. Sign
yeah,
away.
that's right.
Number
We
two.
because they're not going to give it to us out of the goodness of their heart.
No.
We're going to have to do some hardcore horse trading. They say,
Exactly.
"All right, you want your assets? Well, give us what we need.
Exactly.
Otherwise, forget about it."
It's economic war. What better way to play it? Here's the second
And they've been
question for
playing
you.
it against us. They've been waging economic war against us for decades. It's about time we started.
Exactly. Here we go. Second question. Do you pick up the phone tomorrow morning as President of the United States and you tell Tim Cook, move Apple to Texas, Wisconsin, Mississippi, wherever you want to, but move it back home and do it? You got 90 days. Would you tell him to do that?
I would. I would have told him that a long time ago. I'm telling him this right now, Tim Cook. See this iPhone? It's an iPhone 6. I'm not going to upgrade to a 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11 until you move to Texas or Wisconsin or Alabama or California, where you started, where you used to make everything. When
Yeah,
Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak ran that company, you made everything in California. And until you start doing that again and training Americans to be the engineers that your parents were, you're not going to get any more of my money. And that's why everybody's got to get one of these stickers and go to getoutofchina.us and get these stickers, because we're sending a message to Tim Cook and Apple and Wall Street as well as to Walmart. Now, I'll be honest here. I'm not saying that we can buy everything that's made in the USA. We should buy as much as possible made in the USA.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff, this iPhone, that just aren't made in the USA now. But we hold back on the purchases. We buy stuff that's right now is ABC, anywhere but China. We've
yep,
got to cut off the blood supply to the tumor. And our
exactly.
dollars are funding this cancerous growth on the world.
There was a quote out of a individual who responded to this particular show out of Guyana. And his quote was, I don't think it's possible for countries to sue each other. Would you explain the whole
Yeah,
idea to my Guyanese friends that
yeah,
we could sue
he's right.
China instantly?
Well, there is something called sovereign immunity,
Mm-hmm.
and governments are given this immunity from lawsuits. There are exceptions to it, and there is, as I was saying, Senator Hawley from Missouri has introduced legislation to strip the Chinese government of sovereign immunity so people could sue.
Mm-hmm.
So individuals could sue.
Yeah,
You've got the World Court, where there could be a forum there to sue a government. Usually, it's individuals and particular actors that are brought there. Look, there's Pat Buchanan has written about this. There's another side to this, which might not be a good idea to sue China
mm-hmm.
to go through that machination, because somebody may decide to sue the United States for what we did in Iraq.
Yeah,
Iraq might say, you really boogered up our country bad with that invasion back in a few years ago, and we're going to hold you responsible for that, or Yemen or somebody else. So do we want to go down that road? That's why I say, remember, every dollar we would get from suing China is a dollar we gave them in the first place. So let's save ourselves the trouble of going to court. Let's just not give them the money in the first place. Get
bingo.
our supply chains out of China. Don't give them any money. Don't buy there. Don't let them sell their securities, their stocks and bonds in this country. And then we don't have to go get that money back. We just never gave it to them.
Exactly. There is a better way. It is a way we can sue, but there is a better way. Let's just get
Yeah,
the heck out of China. Period.
that's right.
Get out of China.
Get out of
Curtis,
China.us.
there you go. Curtis, we thank you so much for the hard work, the patriotism that you've shown this particular nation. We're not through yet. We got a conquest left here. God bless you,
Thank
sir.
you. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a great honor and privilege it is to talk with Curtis Ellis. We'll be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. You all need to just go to Twitter and just firebomb this man's Twitter page. He has spoken the absolute truth of exactly what this nation needs to do. Number one, Donald Trump. I know you don't listen to me that much, but on Friday morning, you should take a pen and seize all of the Chinese assets, all of the Communist Party assets here in the U.S. And then number two, tell Americans you need to boycott China. You do those two things, America will be on a great and better par of course economically, and so with the world. I'm quite certain Guyana and Uganda and a few other places wouldn't mind. We'll be back with more of the best right after these messages.
I love you, Schmoopy.
I love you, Pickles.
We are totally on our honeymoon.
Let's roll.
Go left.
Okay.
And this way. Do you want me to lock the front door?
Honeymoon. Hey, bro. All right. We'll turn around right here. What's up, dog?
Why are you saying hi to those people?
Oh, what your problem is? Dinner last night was horrible. Right here. Having fun, honey? Should I turn around? Oh my god.